Roar! I'm Tiamat. Yeah, look at me. I'm standing on this rock. Yeah. And actually, that's not a picture. That's a figure. Wow. Woo, that looks nice. Anyways, hey, what's up? It's Monday. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's the 5th day of Fry-tember. It's about 75 degrees already here at Site B. It's going to be another hot one, but apparently not as hot as yesterday. Yeah. Someday I might not complain about the weather, but not today. Should be no surprise to you, as now I do not like weather extremes for multiple reasons. Anyways, yep, it's Monday, which means it's time to take a look at the news. Is there anything going on in the gaming news that doesn't involve Wizards of the Coast? And no, there's not a lot. We got a little, but... and we have some news from TSR3.5 because it's been a couple weeks since they've done anything controversial, and apparently they continue to need to stick their heads in the beehive in order to remain relevant, because if you can't do anything productive, you should generate controversy, because controversy at least still gets your attention. If anybody is proving that to us, it's Wizards of the Coast with the continued nonstop controversy. And a lot of people are going, well, Jesus Christ, Wizards of the Coast, maybe you should, I don't know, wisen up, because it doesn't seem like a day goes by without you doing something incredibly dumb that gets a bunch of people angry. But then there's a few other people who are going, you know what? We're paying a lot of attention to Wizards of the Coast. Maybe they're doing this on purpose? I mean, would we really be talking about Wizards of the Coast as much as we are if they hadn't done anything, if they just put stuff out like all the other gaming companies? Probably not. Anyways, the 40th anniversary of Call of Cthulhu, the single most popular and best role-playing game in the world. Fight me on that. Anyway, so that's what's going on with Call of Cthulhu. Happy birthday, Elder Earth Horror. There's a new Kickstarter this week for the Level Up 5e Dungeons Delver Guide. This is a supplement to the Level Up 5e, which is the 5e retro clone that EM Publishing put out and never stops talking about. So this is a guide to building and populating dungeons. They've been kickstarting this one for a while now, but then, yeah, these guys definitely know how to just keep talking about their product. I haven't seen anything from Level Up 5e in play, so I don't know if it's good or bad. It's nice that there are companies out there trying to remain competitive with Wizards of the Coast and D&D. I mean, all it takes is just the right, collection of situations to have another GURPS explosion or to have another Pathfinder explosion. And you would think with all the controversy that Wizards of the Coast is accumulating and all the people that are fleeing the sinking ship that is one D&D, we would just have that spark, that Pathfinder, that GURPS, that one thing that just needs to rally the rest of the gaming world behind it and go, you know what, D&D, just be quiet for a couple of years. Okay, just take a break. So yeah, good luck with those guys. Let's see. Wizards of the Coast has announced that the one D&D playtest is already larger than the next D&D next playtest from 2014. So yes, more people have at least looked at it than ever looked at the D&D Next playtest, which is sort of just kind of insulting yourself, Wizards of the Coast. That's like a backwards compliment. That's like telling somebody, wow, you look thinner. Or, yeah, he's really interesting. So telling people that more people downloaded your product now or looked at your product now than looked at it in 2014, I don't know if that's really a good thing, Wizards of the Coast. I mean, I guess you're trying to say, hey, look, we're more relevant now. But really what you're saying is either A, well, you know what, the 2014 sucks so much. Or B, we've really changed our level of vetting people before we let them look at our stuff. Because there's a reason why not as many people playtested D&D Next as are playtesting or at least looking at. I mean, just because people are looking at it and downloading it does not mean they're actually playtesting it. They're just downloading it. The people who playtested D&D Next, like myself, had to reach out and contact Wizards of the Coast, fill out a form, and then be approved to receive the first round of the playtest. And then for the second round of the playtest, you had to do the exact same thing. You had to fill things out. There was questionnaires. There was tests. It was an actual playtest. There were tasks that you had to do. This one, all you've got to do is download it and apparently complain about it. Oh, sure, there's the survey on D&D Beyond, but it's nowhere close to the level of stuff we had to go through for the D&D Next playtest. I mean, every player at my table had to take a questionnaire, fill it out, talk about the playtest after the playtest. Then I had to submit it to Wizards of the Coast, and then I had to wait to see if Wizards of the Coast thought the playtest material I presented them was worthy enough to receive the second round of playtest material. So yeah, not as many people playtested D&D Next as are playtesting 1 D&D, because Wizards of the Coast did not make the playtest of D&D Next available to as many people as they're making 1 D&D. I'm sure if you'd done the same thing with D&D Next in 2014 and just toss it out there for free, sure, yeah, thousands of people would at least look at it. Fandom announced that the company is selling the Cortex role-playing game to Direwolf Digital. If you're not familiar with who Direwolf Digital is, they make video games, including the video games for Root, which is awesome, Wings of Glory, which I've never played, Pokemon trading card game, which my niece and nephews love, Game of Thrones, the board game, video game, and Dune Imperium. Has these guys ever made any actual RPGs? Well, apparently they did a playtest for a He-Man and the Masters of the Universe role-playing game, but it's been placed on indefinite hiatus, and we don't even know if they had actual access to the property when they put... Oh, hold on, street cleaners going by or something. When they had actual license to the He-Man. So they put out a playtest at a Kickstarter for a He-Man role-playing game, but now people are going, did you actually have the license to that? Well, now that I've got the license to Legends of the Dragon Prince, which is a great show on Netflix, but that's using the Cortex system, which is sort of if I remember correctly, just sort of a ripoff of Savage Worlds. Yeah. WizKids has announced an expansion to their D&D Classics collections featuring sculpts based upon classic Monster Manual artwork. And all these are ranging in price from, normal everyday $20 to $99 and more. We've got things including Displacer Beasts, Elementals, rats, giant rats, terrain, all sorts of stuff, including a figure for Moldy Cheese Horde for your giant rat collection. So the giant rat collection comes in a box. It's got 4 were-rats, a swarm of rats, and 1 giant rat, and all the things you need to populate a rat horde, including a moldy cheese board. I don't know, man. I want to see a figure for a moldy cheese board. That's kind of cool. But yeah, as usual with these, they're all running around $80-$90. I don't know, $90 for a figure. Or even a bunch of figures. Ultra Pro announced that they have licensed Dungeons & Dragons products, including the Dungeons & Dragons Shadow of the Dragon Queen, for upcoming folios. These are empty sleeves, folders for collectible cards and stickers and stuff like that. So if you're ever concerned about, Wizards of the Coast, D&D, money, why Hasbro would never let Wizards of the Coast go, or why Hasbro would let Wizards of the Coast go, or why Hasbro would keep D&D. Because the D&D IP is worth way more than the actual D&D product. Marketing that D&D iconography, like to Ultra Pro, on a daily basis is going to make Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro more money than the books. So that is why the D&D IP is more powerful than D&D the game. As I've said before, Hasbro doesn't need Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast needs Hasbro. And Hasbro doesn't need to actually make D&D games. If they never published another Dungeons & Dragons game, as long as they still have control of the iconography, the imagery, the name, the IP, that IP is a gold mine. The actual product, not so much. But, Dungeons & Dragons themed Magic the Gathering folders, Dungeons Dragons themed backpacks, Dungeons and Dragons themed movies, Dungeons and Dragons themed action figures. When are you going to get the action figure Target? They look so awesome. Dungeons and Dragons themed cookware, plates, breakfast cereal. That's the money. And speaking of unbelievably expensive figures, as you see in the image that I am showing you right now, the collector's edition Tiamat statue now has a picture. It is 37 inches long with a 31-inch wingspan and about 15-inch wide and 16-inch deep base of craggy rocks and lava. I mean, sure, it's almost $2,000, but wow. I mean, just look how amazing it is. Probably doesn't look this amazing in real life. Obviously, the picture's been photoshopped and touched up, and there probably isn't an active volcano that. But for almost $2,000, the damn figure better come with a goddamn active volcano behind it. Yeah, that is just an amazing looking piece of art. I mean, I'd be afraid to use it at the table because I just spent almost $2,000 on it. But wow, if I was a true collector and had that kind of money and wanted her in my house, she'd be in my house. But I don't have that kind of money, and I'm not a true collector, and I don't need her in my house because the kitten would just break it anyways. And speaking of marketing of IPs, the Mad Rogues at Savage Sparrow Studio now have an official collection of clothing based upon Pathfinder. Yes, Pathfinder-themed clothing. This new line is called Kitten and Kaboomal. It's a celebration of goblins and has clothing. The official Kickstarter for the clothing line is coming up. They will be having dresses, t-shirts, pins, and hoodies, all themed around the Pathfinder goblins. Which I love the Pathfinder goblins. I always wanted that Pathfinder goblin messenger bag, but I never found it, and then it was unavailable anymore. I love the look of the Pathfinder goblins. That's what I base my goblins on. But I don't know if that's something that should be a clothing line. But, yep, there you go. Perfect example of marketing the IP. So, yeah, jump on that money-making bandwagon, guys, because, merchandising, where the real money is. And now the best for last, because I told you this was coming up. And, yes, sometimes Justin LaNasa gets himself in trouble and gets TSR 3.5 in trouble. And once again, Justin LaNasa has managed to get TSR 3.5 into trouble again because they have made customer financial information available to people because they accidentally sent them a spreadsheet that had the financial information of people on it, and it wasn't encoded or encrypted. So, we have some information from people, including Don Samora over at Wizards Towers, claiming that LaNasa emailed him a spreadsheet that included financial information from customers and business parsers, including full names, email addresses, home addresses, phone numbers, and credit card numbers, all stored in plain text with no encoding or encryption. This includes customers of the TSR 3.5 and the Dungeon Hobby Shop. So anybody who has purchased products from the Dungeon Hobby Shop online or TSR 3.5 in the past year or longer, all your financial information was made available to the general public. Literally any idiot with a computer could go and get this information because LaNasa and his infinite intelligence and D&D 3.5, TSR 3.5 and their infinite ability to be amazing card carriers of the TSR legacy, put it out there on a spreadsheet without any form of protection and then emailed it to people. Because, yeah, it's good to know that if I bought something from them in the last couple of years, that information is now available. Thankfully, I haven't ever bought anything from them. But in case you're wondering, if you're worried about Justin LaNasa's economic status, don't be, because he's recently purchased a oxygen bar in North Carolina. This is an oxygen bar called Port City Cava, which is also a vape store, so basically a distillery or dispensary. It's got oxygen bar and a vape bar. If you're not familiar with what an oxygen bar is, it's a very Southern California thing, so if you live in any reasonable state, you might have never heard of this. But basically, it is a building, environmentally controlled building, where you can go and inhale oxygen from oxygen tanks, and the oxygen is flavored, and it's supposed to give you a natural high without all the side effects of drugs. Of course, since pot is now legal in almost everywhere, the whole point of an oxygen bar is sort of pointless, because now I can get high legally by just going to my local dispensary and buying some pot, which I need to do. So yeah. Good on you, Justin LaNasa, that you are opening an oxygen bar in North Carolina and making the financial information for all your customers from the past year or longer available on a spreadsheet with no encryption or encoding that you sent out over normal email. Your average kitty with, a cell phone can hack that. So, yeah. We don't even have to hack it because you just literally sent it out. I mean, God, yeah, just... Well, at least TSR 3.5 is finding a way to stay in the news. Yeah. Thumbs up, buddy. Thumbs up. And anything else going on in the world of tabletop role-playing games? Oh, yeah, did you hear about the thing? Apparently there was a art contest. I don't know if this was a Gen Con or something. And a piece of fantasy D&D inspired art got first prize. And then they discovered the art was made by one of those AI art generators like Midjourney or DALL-E. And so now all the other contestants are crying foul because the person who submitted it just made it using, AI art generator. And, the people who actually worked hard and painted and sculpted and spent hours are complaining, going, look, all this guy did was enter a formula and he got a piece of art. And you said it's the winner? I mean, is that as much work as somebody who spends hours painting and drawing and sculpting and pouring their life and heart and energy into a work of art, the same as me just going online to Midjourney and typing in fantasy, dragons, cave, dynamic lighting, and just repeating that until I got something that I think was worthy? Because I have very little artistic talent, I love the AI art generators, though usually they are never close to what I picture in my mind, so they're still not that great. I mean, they're getting there, but yes. Yeah, it's a lot of trial and error to get a picture that you really want. So, yeah, I would agree. I mean, that should have been a separate category. I don't think that the AI-generated art should have won first prize compared to the people who actually spent time and energy and effort and heart and passion into making art. If you're going to acknowledge AI art at your contest, it needs to be a separate category now. But what do I know? Anything else? Oh, yeah. Wizards of the Coast apologized for the space monkeys, and that sure as hell causing a lot of controversy. But I think we've talked enough about the space monkeys, so I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm sure there's something else far more important to talk about going on in the world than space monkeys. I mean, let's check the news. Oh, yeah, there's hundreds of things going on that are far more important than space monkeys. But apparently that's what's got everybody upset. But I'm done. I'm done talking about the space monkeys. By talking about the space monkeys, I'm giving Wizards of the Coast exactly what they want, because I'm paying attention to the space monkeys, and I'm drawing attention to the space monkeys. And every time I mention Wizards of the Coast or space monkeys or Spelljammer, the algorithm goes, see? Somebody mentioned it. We're getting attention. See? It's working. That's my Guru voice. Used to be better. So that's where we'll end it today by looking again at this awesome Tiamat figure. Yeah, she's awesome. I envy anybody who has the kind of money that could buy her and have her in their house, because, yeah, she's pretty cool. I'd also be afraid the cat would knock it over and break it, but damn, yeah, she's pretty awesome. Yeah. So let's end this news broadcast by looking at our girl. All right, I'm the OG GM. If you appreciate this content, let me know. If you don't appreciate this content and have suggestions on how I can improve it, let me know. Of course, please subscribe, support, share, help me hit 1,000 subs, etc., etc., etc. Stay safe. It's going to be very hot again today. Keep yourself liquidated, and don't forget to keep your animals liquidated and hydrated as well. Until then, really? TSR 3.5? Really? Really?